Okay. All right, it is Council Club, October 14th. There was no meeting this past Tuesday on the 12th because of Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day. So they skipped a week. So we're just going to focus on what's happening on the 19th, this upcoming Tuesday. Just jumping right into it. Number 7 is a rezoning request west of West Farm, so way out there. There was one letter, a handwritten letter, which I always think is quaint, but it was a handwritten letter from a property owner who was concerned about drainage and the potential impact on their property values. So we will see what happens with that. Probably will sail right through, no problem. Number 14 is a potential designation for determining that it's blighted so that a developer can come in and request TIF. It's kind of a, I think, 200 acres or something like that.
Yeah, it's a big 72nd and L.
Yeah. So we'll see who's going to try to develop that and what they're going to do.
I mean, it was so close to Horseman's Park. They almost could have got the super monies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So we will see what happens with that. 15, I thought was kind of
real quick on that. Did you guys notice that the planning department document, like, they explained that a developer approached the city about, yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I think that's how a lot of blighted designations happen, is because a developer approaches the city and they say, hey, I'm gonna need some TIF money, so we are gonna need that to be blighted in order for that to happen. So I think that I don't know that I've really necessarily read it specifically like that, but I do know that that is sometimes the mechanism or the, you know, the kind of way that things go, because in order to get TIF, it has to be you know, designated as a blighted or extremely blighted area. So they're going for the blighted designation.
Not extreme, just
not
regular.
Extreme, just a regular old blight, which has to do with census tract stuff and you know, median income and unemployment and the condition of the buildings and the roads and that sort of thing. So
yeah, all those qualifying factors that they listed in that application, they showed like by census tract. I can't guarantee it, but I don't think Blackstone fits. Like, if you took that census tract, I don't think Blackstone fits that anymore. Like, right. So they're using outdated information for that. So I think we should press for those numbers, like, because there's a couple Blackstone TIF coming up, but the median, it can't fit those numbers anymore.
That would be interesting to see, because I agree that seems like it probably has shifted enough in the last.
They're probably using the 2010 census, right? Every 10 years is a census.
I guess when is it important for them to use the updated information? I wonder what the kind of limitations are on that. Do you know, Mark?
No, no. I think they haven't reevaluated that census tract or that area since they first qualified, but I don't think it would qualify. I don't see how it could.
Yeah, agreed. Interesting. Good point. Okay, number 15 is actually an application for the Ponca tribe to have a special use permit for it's going to be it sounded like an interesting project, a health clinic and tribal support service development kind of in Ralston. So we'll see what happens with that. I liked looking at it was a lot of parking. Of course, I'm going to pick on the amount of parking, but it looked like, I don't know, I think anything that's going to help Indigenous populations thrive is good, in my opinion. I don't know that much about it, but I like the idea. 16 and 17 and then 97 are all about a Nebraska Youth Justice Initiative. There was an application for special use permit for group living and emergency services for 24/7 facilities, a group home kind of behind the Walmart on Ames at 50th and Grand. That is kind of a group home and rehabilitation facility for kids from 12 to 18-year-olds who are either system impacted or have substance abuse issues. So I think that sounds good, rather than we were just talking about actually someone that Scott knows who lives in North Omaha but had to go to Boys Town. So this would actually allow folks to kind of remain in their community while they're dealing with some rehab.
I think it's an abandoned church right now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I did read something about that. They're gonna, I think, erect a few new buildings and then use the church too. So that is 16 and 17.
And then 97 will be next week. So yeah, the non-action, yeah, there's a lot coming down the pipe on 50-20 grand.
Yeah. 19 through 25 is the consent agenda. So probably just sail right through. There's some tip requests, some OPD funding. We talked about it last week. 26 through 41, there is opportunity for public hearing on Tuesday. So if anything 26 through 41 jumps out at you, you are able to speak as a proponent or opponent. We did notice that there's actually money for some flood repairs. Number 27 is actually an amendment to a contract allowing for some more money because of some flood issues. So they're actually removing the trolley tracks at 22nd and Farnham, which I thought was just kind of interesting. All right, then 29 through 32, 60 grand each one of the 4 different item numbers for snow plow inspectors. Does anyone know?
It's $250,000 to inspect
Yeah.
snowplows.
Yeah.
Just for one season.
Yeah.
And there's so Earhart, Griffin, CNC Survey, Alfred Bench, and our favorite Olson, each getting $60,000 for snowplow inspection. That just seems like a ton.
Yeah.
Just to inspect the snowplows. Like,
so my thinking is, if someone wants to talk about how when our streets get shoveled and plowed, they block ADA ramps, you know, it seems kind of like a mode shift-ish opportunity, in my opinion, to stand up and say, hey, you know what, while you're inspecting the snow plowing operations, could you make sure that folks aren't affecting accessibility?
So yeah, I think what Erasmus is saying about it being an audit, like I wonder if they're going to audit the plows, the physical plows, or the job. I mean, they can't audit the job they're doing, or
Why not?
I think that's what you're saying. They
Yeah.
should be auditing,
Yeah.
not the plow itself,
Has to
but
be
the
the
job
job.
of
Yeah.
removing the snow.
Yeah.
And how good are you? Does it damage the street? Do you block sidewalks?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is a little unclear in my opinion as well. So I don't know if anybody else had ideas about what that is, because that is a significant amount of cash for just making sure that the plowing is happening. But yeah, they're all engineering firms. So I just thought that was kind of a lot of cash for looking at snowplow jobs, but maybe they don't have vehicle fleet inspectors. Interesting. So we think that this would be actually, yeah, like we're seeing in the chat, to make sure that they're doing the job and not then, you know, not inspecting the equipment itself. We'll see. Do you need a drink of water?
no, but it hasn't even snowed. I guess they were talking about this winter season.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be on Tuesday. They're going to inspect plows.
Yeah, it's just for this upcoming season.
That's still a shitload to fucking go around and be like, oh, you missed the spot.
Yeah.
Or, god damn.
Yeah.
$250,000.
A whole lot of bad words right in a row.
Sorry.
Plug your ears, tiny council club watchers. Yeah, right. Anyway, bombs away. Okay, moving right along. So we were talking a little bit before we hit record, which maybe you should kind of cover your poll map again. But basically, we are noticing number 33 is a communication cable agreement with the Omaha Performing Arts Society. They want to install some kind of communications cable.
We couldn't figure out if it was phone or internet or television.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one.
And we also couldn't find where.
I wanted a map, because I'm like, are they going to block the sidewalks? Are they going to, like, what are they going to do? You know, when we're talking about communications, and because this is an application for lease of public right of way. So I'm like, are they going to block the sidewalk? Are they going to put some kind of a pole or cable? I don't know. It seemed unclear. Did anybody dig into that one at all? Notice anything that we didn't?
The reason it stuck out, I think, to both of us was, well, specifically to me, was the Omaha Performing Arts Center doesn't have the best reputation. I know that Brigitte McQueen with the union wrote a article, I think last year, basically saying the Omaha Performing Arts Center is racist and then run by a bunch of racists. So I know, I kind of just, my ears perked up.
And I know of the Omaha Performing Arts Society. They don't like to say society because it sounds elitist, because it is. They are the ones who wanted to knock down the spec building for a parking garage. That was that whole ordeal. So I don't know. It just kind of piqued my interest because I don't really know that I feel like I trust an agreement between the Omaha Performing Arts Society and the mayor, but I guess we'll see. Especially like we said, in light of the recent issues with the Verizon poles and the other, communication obstructions. So when I hear public right of way and communications and a lease, I don't know. We'll be watching that one, I guess. All right, number 34, Nebraska Emergency Management Agency grant agreement. Because of the quote historic flooding along the Copper Creek sewers, the state is going to reimburse up to about $550,000 for some sewer work there.
I meant to look this up. Where's Copper Creek?
I think it's along, or am I thinking of a different one? I'm gonna look up Copper Creek really quick. I feel like it's just between Maple and 48th. That's not where I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, there's a creek.
Copper Creek. Okay, I'm gonna do a screen share since we're looking at something and not including all of you. And I don't really know exactly where along this area, but it's 48th and it's pretty
way
far
south.
south. Yeah.
I thought Harrison was the I guess it goes.
Dividing line.
Yeah, I thought that was Dodge County or Douglas County.
Interesting. Anywho, we don't really know. Oh, here's another thought on the snow plow inspection. It would be nice to know the terms of that agreement. 1 storm, 2 storms during the storm, how soon after the storm, what's the scope of the inspection, how many inspectors, who at the firms has performed the inspections, etc. Yeah, good questions. It does seem kind of vague, so I don't know. It's not like, I guess we could all email our city councilors and ask for clarification on what that is, but it will be interesting to see.
And I think you didn't. But what's the other city that the city paid for snow removal?
Kansas City.
So Kansas City, the city just removes all the sidewalk.
They maintain the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they passed a street bond, like we just passed that $200 million street bond, which just is going to go towards repaving roads, not Howard Street, apparently. I don't know if y'all saw that little tidbit in the news. Anyway, but a lot of the resurfacing that's happening in Omaha is because of the road bond that we passed. In Kansas City, they passed a slightly larger amount, but they decided to take over sidewalk maintenance as well, which I would love to see happen in Omaha. And that's something that Mode Shift has kind of talked about. We have a walkability team and talk about a lot of sidewalk issues and accessibility stuff. And that's something that I think would be like really fantastic if we could work toward. I doubt it'll happen.
Yeah, because snow plows don't plow sidewalks. That's up to, but yeah.
That would take a human or a smaller device. I mean, they plow the trails. I don't know. Anywho. All right. So
we were just talking about the Copper Creek.
Yeah, so they're going to redo some sewers along Copper Creek, which we now know is near Bryan High. Okay, number 35.
And 36 kind of go together. 2
Yeah.
patios pretty close to each other.
Downtown.
On 16th, what would that be?
Farnham.
Farnham and 16th. The Cumbia Bar and Food is getting a patio. And then the old Jazz Louisiana Kitchen and Jimmy John's. So what's that? 15th and also Farnham?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other one's Harney. Sorry, that was on the other side of.
Okay, south. Yeah.
But that one's getting a sunken patio. Basically, they're asking. I don't know if they lease it from the city or they want to make a little patio on the sidewalk. I wish I could find. There was a news article years ago that said that the 16th Street redevelopment was one of the top 10 worst downtown redevelopments in the entire nation. Top 10 worst. So hopefully this patio will bring it back to maybe not the worst. But anyways, the old Jazz Louisiana Kitchen is now called the Trio. The business is bread pudding. But it's the Jazz Kitchen, used to be Whiskey Tango, and then Jimmy John's on the other side. That whole entire building is going to be apartments and retail. So they're getting a little patio, a little sunken patio on there. They'll probably both sell through.
Likely.
Yeah.
All right, number 37 is actually a preservation district request. The Saratoga Beltline area, kind of near 20th and Ames, because of its importance, and buildings from, I think they said like 1890s to 1950s, that kind of a commercial core district there. And so they're going to actually designate it as an economic preservation. I had some interesting words that Banslaw put in there, but anyway, so that's kind of interesting. And then I dug into that attachment a little bit more and read that Ernie Chambers' daughter, I want to say, bought a big piece of property on North 21st in that area, and she's going to try to create like a historic legacy building for Ernie Chambers. So agreed, really interesting attachment on that one. So some cool photos of the old buildings. There's some commercial, some residential, and yeah, so they're going to be kind of preserving that as a historic district. And that's also kind of the area of the new Beltline Trail. I was thinking we should invite Eric Williams sometime to come to one of these and talk about the Beltline Trail, because that's something that's been in the works for a really long time and is finally actually gaining some traction. Looks like it's going to be happening. That and the North Omaha Trail.
That'd be on the railroad.
Mm-hmm. Yep, old Beltline Railroad corridor. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's some kind of fun North Omaha news. And then number 38, you'll see on a lot of agendas actually over the years, I think actually, lead remediation. Oh, here's Spencer. And so number 38 is another one where they are basically working with the property owner and allowing about 40 grand for rehabilitation and lead reduction work. And then Scott found some information from an Axios article about just lead levels and kids in Iowa. Do you want to talk about
Yeah, so it's Axios. And it's so no amount of lead, there's no acceptable amount of lead in a children's blood sample. So if you any amount is you're poisoned. And so they made a map of the United States, and it showed you wanted to screen share that?
One more time.
Yeah. Yeah, it shows Iowa at 76% of Iowa children under 6 years have, but then Nebraska is 83. Nebraska is the worst. Like literally in this map.
Yeah.
We have the worst lead
percentage
of children. I kind of thought it was weird that Iowa was the only one that was an Iowa story when Nebraska is worse.
Yeah. Good times. Sorry, kids, you're poisoned. So that's what that one's about. And there you'll see
that one bothered me. I called my pediatrician because we live in like, so it's mandatory that if you live in a certain area, or like it's funded, your kids get a lead test every single year up until age 4. Like they get their pricked at the pediatrician, and then they send you a letter saying okay, it's in the like it's fine, you're okay. So after I saw this, I called them and said, hey, like I want to know, can you look up the records, because I want to know what, like you said it's okay, but I read this article that's saying that okay still means that my kids are being poisoned. So get those records, and they're like, you know what I mean? So that bothered me.
Yeah, understandably. That's not a fun fact at all. Oh, and it's all over Omaha. I mean, I lived in a house off of 37th and Davenport years ago, and they came in and scraped the entire yard. I don't know how many inches deep, but yeah, and re-sodded it and repainted the house and all of it. So soil tests. Yeah, if it tests high, you get a new yard. So you can request a test for your soil through the city. Yeah, cool. So that's what's happening on item number 38. Item 40 is OPD buying 5 new cop cars for $170,000 Fords. I just don't like police money or cars, so I really like that one a lot. It's under $200,000, no problem. Okay.
One thing you did, it's right around there. Did you see the ones $300,000 for a sewer vacuum? There's two. I think there are 2 of them.
Yes.
I had to look it
had
up.
A funny camel name.
It goes down and sucks all the
sewage.
The sewage out. Yeah.
Delightful. All right. Good.
That is in most likely as a response to that flooding that happened. Like the people on 50th and Center where they say the sewers backed up and all that, the grime.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that, because the city already has one of those machines that it sucks out at 69th and Evans once a month. Anyway, more areas in the city need that. The low lying areas, because the gravel builds up. It's a huge problem in my neighborhood. A lot of people's basements flood because we're on the bottom. Anyway, so there's other areas that they realize that they need it. I guarantee you it's a response to that. They saying we fucked up, or
Yeah.
So that'd be another opportunity to talk about the flooding that the mayor never fucking talked about.
Yeah.
So Mark, you're saying that it's not poop sewage, it's more of the rain sediment that
Gravel and
that they're
such.
cleaning up.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It was the rest. They open the manholes. Or it's not a manhole. There's bigger chambers that they install in the street, big squares, and then this big truck goes through and the machine. Maybe these vacuums are slightly different, but I think this is the exact same thing, because it sucks up sediment. As a matter of fact, my direct next door neighbor, they did not do it for months. They used to be on like a clock, and they didn't do it for 8 months. They didn't suck it up, and my neighbor's basement flooded it, and it was like thousands of dollars. And the city covered it, like very, very quietly, but they covered it.
Interesting, because they knew they didn't do their job in a timely manner, and so they paid for it one way or another. Interesting. That's too bad. Okay, well, good. Thanks for the info on that. Where are we? Okay, 42 through 51 are also opportunities for public hearing on Tuesday. So number 42 is a land grab, eminent domain, actually, land acquisition by the city of private property for a street project at 13th and Monroe, kind of by like Mount Vernon Gardens, for some street project down there. And it says if they can't negotiate with property owners, they're just going to take it. Then another land transfer for number 43, but it's going to go from the city of Omaha to MUD for some utility work at 11th and Locust. Okay, and then 44, we were kind of talking earlier about the map that Scott has created of a bunch of demolition being done. I'm going to screen share again here so y'all can see his work. So basically, we found the attachment, went through. I'll let you talk about your handiwork.
Does it go any bigger? Oh no.
Oh.
Oh. I can go this way.
Sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I figured out how to add the city council districts. That's the latest thing. That's what I'm super happy about myself. But anyways, yeah, so 57 properties. And then I was like, I wonder where those 57 I wonder where they're at, just like with the habitat purchases and just like with the monopoles. And sure enough, 80% of the properties that are going to be demolished are in District 2. And then I took it a step further, because they even have an amount, how much is each one going to cost to demolish?
It's like a special tax assessment is what they're calling it.
And most of these are individuals. Some of the ones out here are construction laborers. So they're not, they don't seem to be owned by
individuals.
U.S. bank trust. So I don't feel so bad charging a bank $10,000 to demolish a piece of property they're not doing anything with. But Betty Mountain, all these people, these are all individual names. Oh, you get some weird zoom on your mouse. But then I also added, here we go. So we can just talk about that. But yeah, 45 out of the 57 are in District 2, which is 80%. And the total amount comes to $425,000. That's going to be charged to District 2 to demolish properties. And I'm sure some of them need to be demolished, but it just seems so interesting that we keep
destroying North Omaha.
Yeah, and charging them for it, and are selling their properties for $1. It just kind of, yeah. So I will be publishing that map later on social media for all of you to look at.
Perfect. All right, moving right along. Okay, number 45 and number 46 is school resource officers. For those of you who like to follow what is happening with the OPD. So number 45 is for Elkhorn, 1 cop with the cruiser 20 hours a week during the school year. And then 46 is, again, cops in school, but in Millard Public Schools. And they've requested 4 officers and I wrote cop dog. What's the K9 unit? Plus marked cruisers at 28 hours a week. So I think it's because Elkhorn, I don't know how many buildings Elkhorn Public Schools has compared to Millard, but I'm guessing it's more. There were letters of opposition from Ricky Fulton that I'm just going to read you because I thought it was funny. I urge you to vote against placing Omaha police officers at the Elkhorn and Millard schools. Omaha is overpoliced. We don't want to normalize for school children the presence of armed officers in the schools. I agree. Police in public schools can be dangerous for minority children, especially. I realize this is my part that I like. I realize that the Omaha Police Department has an almost limitless budget thanks to you and the mayor, but we still don't want to spend money like this. I also realize that the police union gets everything they want, even though they sent out a racist mailer just prior to the last city council election, which infuriated everybody except for the police union and the candidate that the mailing was intended to help. This time, tell them no, we won't give you more jobs. Anyway, I just thought, I know Ricky, so I'm just like imagining him angrily typing his opposition letter. But all right, so that is 45 and 46. And then 47 is also money for the police, and it's about $400,000 for a digital forensics situation. That's like, there's a digital forensics squad, and this request is going to cover training and software and hardware, and it's over 5 years. It's about $77,000 a year, I think, for the next 5 years. Number 48 regarding about $250,000 to Deloitte for helping manage the distribution of the ARPA funds, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. So Omaha's going to get some money. Douglas County has already been working with Deloitte. There, I don't know if any of you watched the Douglas County Commissioner meetings, but Commissioner Kavanaugh has a lot of feelings about Deloitte. Anyway, they're going to get some more money, this time from the city of Omaha. Right, so that is,
We're giving $250,000 to Deloitte to tell us what to do with the money or how to spend the money properly,
yes,
kind of like the CARES Act.
right, yep. So that's 48, which I think is still all, yeah, you could still speak about that if you have feelings about what's happening with the ARPA money. You could like, weave that in. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, number 51 is $168 million in various purpose and refunding bonds. I think they're selling some bonds. Does anybody have any more information?
God damn, 168 million.
Right, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of different bonds that I think that are changing hands, and so they're discussing the interest rate and that sort of thing. But it seemed like a lot of money, and I don't exactly know what it means. Does anybody?
I didn't even read that far down.
Yeah, it says an ordinance authorizing and directing an issue of general obligation and refunding bonds of the city of Omaha in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $168,400,000. So I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of money, and I don't fully understand what's happening. But the attachment just like breaks it all down. I'm going to share my screen. So it shows you the purpose of the bonds and then the amount issued and then the date it was authorized. So these are from before. So I think it's just basically changing hands. Maybe that's like bond sales. So I don't know, just seemed like a large amount, and that's about all it is. Here's more. Principal amount of indebtedness assumed. So redemption price, I don't know. Just more stuff turned out about various purpose and refunding bonds. You hear about like road bonds or whatever, but this is just a whole lot more. All right, I'm stopping sharing. I think
That was the last item on the.
yeah.
Before
Oh, actually, okay, yeah. You're right. So then 52 through 54 are non-action items, but they are going to involve some more development with 75 North, the Highlander East subdivision and redevelopment overlay. And then 75 is at 27th and Leavenworth. They're going to be redeveloping that area, and it's going to be a TOD development, transit-oriented development. So can't wait to pick on how many parking spots they put in that development. Yeah, and then the rest is non-action stuff too. We talked a little bit about some stuff going on near Cindy's neck of the woods. And then there's a library board. We are just, usually go through a few things that aren't necessarily council specific, but they are happening in our neck of the woods. So the county commissioners are, District 1, with the passing of Mike Boyle, they are looking for a new replacement, and they are interviewing 8 candidates out of the 14, and the interviews are happening on the 22nd.
And this specifically, like, I almost messaged Dan Ash ahead of time being like, hey, are you going to plan to do interviews? And I was like, I bet you he's just going to do the right thing. Sure enough, he's on Twitter saying we've had this many candidates. And he's talking about the process and how they had 14 candidates. They narrowed it down to semifinalists. And for those of you that remember when Colleen Brennan got appointed, they didn't do any interviews. They didn't narrow down any semifinalists. It basically came down to who was the most annoying and sent us the most emails, which is what Palermo specifically said. So bravo to Dan Ash for doing it right and being public about it. Yeah, Dan Ash for mayor. So he actually, I've talked about this before, Dan Ash got more votes than Mayor Stothert did. And that's apples to apples. Not just Douglas County, but in the city of Omaha, he got, I think, 107,000 votes when he ran in 2020. And then Mayor Stothert got 60,000 in the same district. So it has a lot to do with moving the elections back to November. But yeah, Dan Ash, definitely, I would love him to be mayor.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's responsive. If y'all aren't on his email update list, you should be. He's the best.
Yep.
I heart Dan Ash. So we'll see how that goes. You can actually write to Dan Ash and Don Klein. They are going to be interviewing the candidates, and you can write letters of support. They will be public record. But if you really love Kimmer Snipe, or you really love Sarah Howard, or Roger Garcia, who lost by only 3 votes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And they could appoint someone on the 22nd if there's like a clear, winner, or they could narrow the field again. So we'll kind of be tracking what's happening there. But that round of interviews at least will be happening on the 22nd. The library meeting is continuing. I'm gonna be looking at some people who are live tweeting. Okay, it just ended 6 minutes ago. Basically reiterates how often the council is not notified about big things happening in the city, like the library closing during the pandemic. Interesting. Councilman, wait, hold on here. You know what is so great? Okay, Vinny is at this meeting. I was just thinking, like, I wonder if council members are at these public library meetings.
Palermo's.
Yeah, Palermo is there. Okay, I'm gonna just, since this is council club, Vinny Palermo is here and wants to speak. He doesn't have any deep dark secrets about the library, but wanted to speak anyway. Someone asked about who will take this stuff back to the council, and he says he has a staff member here taking notes to make sure he captures everything. Way to go, Vinny Palermo. High five. He had lunch with another council member, unnamed, and their first point of conversation was the library. Both agreed they don't want to privatize the library. Question from the audience about the police versus library budget. Excellent. From Vinny, when the budget is presented, it's mostly already done. Yes, which sucks, and we should change. And when he asked for something from the mayor, he's asked where he wants it to be taken away from in his district. Follow up from the audience, if the budget is done by the time it comes to council, who's writing it? Primarily the finance department, aka the mayor, deciding what happens after meeting with. I'm editorializing, that's not all of what this is. Anyway, councilman encourages folks to reach out. He doesn't know if his fellow council people will attend forums, but you are encouraged to reach out to them and voice concerns. All right, there, you heard it from Vinny Palermo. Email your city councilor about the library stuff, because they need to know that we're all paying attention. Not only should you email the library board, but your city council person.
So do you actually think it's going to make a difference? Because they're doing all of these meetings this week. November 3rd, Heritage Services, I believe president, is meeting with the library staff so that they can ask questions. Right then and there, I figured they've already got it decided.
Yeah.
Plus, I've heard that as soon as they do have those meetings, things are going to happen very, very quickly, which means moving out of the downtown library.
Not my favorite. I don't know. I feel like since there has been so much public opinion over the last just couple of weeks, it seems like is when it all kind of has blown up and become public. It might be too late. Yeah, Cindy, I hate to feel negative, but it's probably just reality. It might be too late. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. The next, I was going to try to find when the next meetings are, but we're going to go to the one at the 90th and Maple, which I think is on the 18th. Is that right? Yeah, Monday, I think. So yeah, we'll keep you posted. If you haven't been to one, find the branch near you and show up and talk about how it's important to keep it public. It's important to make sure that there are not book bots, that there are actual librarians that are compensated fairly. And yeah, I mean, a lot of folks go to the library for help because they don't like technology or they don't know how to use it. And so if we just turn all the people into robots, that's not going to be good for anyone. So might be good for heritage services. I'm not sure, but the humans involved don't think so. Yeah, someone says we should not waste what heritage wants to do for the city. I think once again, and this is something we talked about last time as well, is they should be able to just make a donation and not have strings attached. It's not a donation if they have strings attached. So
Yeah, it's a buy-in.
Hostile takeover is what
investment.
Jane called it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But you don't get a tax, you don't get that write-off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we shall see what happens with that. The next thing on my list is there's a Benson block talk happening with MAPPA on the 20th that evening. It's a virtual one. But basically they did one in like downtown Benson at 60th and Maple, and you do kind of this virtual, you know, it's kind of an interesting, I could find I'm not going to. But you can register if you go to the MAPPA website. I think there's information there. I can also share with anyone if you're interested, but it's kind of cool. There's a survey. I am going to find that dang email now because I think the survey, you know how I love surveys. But it is actually one of those things where take the survey. I don't know. Here is the link to the survey if anyone wants to check it out. And I am actually going to do a screen share real quick so you can just kind of see that this is a neat, I don't know, they actually put some effort into it. And it talks about how they're working with the neighborhood association and the city of Omaha. You can click through the story map. So there's different kind of segments that they're going to have you look at and kind of provide feedback on. So you might say, oh, yard art sale, how nice. Well, look, we have crosswalks. I like that. Or you might say, I don't know, in this case, actually, I feel like usually when I walk by here, it's so full of litter. They got it on a good day. Good for you. But, you know, you might mention the retaining wall fund that they don't want to take any money away from to build the bike lane or whatever. There's a lot of different things. But if you want to weigh in on that, go right ahead. My big concern with the block talks is, yes, that's all fine and good and probably interesting information to gather. But what are they doing with it? Because MAPPA gathers the information and does the studies and passes it off to the city, who does a whole lot of nothing with it, because we provided so much feedback and so many good ideas from the Benson Neighborhood Association as it pertained to what could be improved at downtown Benson. And I haven't seen jack shit. I don't think anything has changed. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Mark knows something. Pretty much a lot of us on this call live in this area. So I don't know if anyone's noticed something that I haven't. I hope I'm wrong, but I have not really seen any meaningful adjustments to any intersections or anything based on the information they gathered. So
I feel like last time they did that intersection, they talked about the one 60th and Maple. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it's a problematic intersection. The next day, really bad accident. And they're like, oh yeah, oh, crap. Yeah. So that's what's happened.
Yeah, they're like, oh yes, the people were right. Medians in entrance room Benson right now are filled with weeds, embarrassing for the BID. Yeah, okay, so this is a great segue to how the BID might be getting more money, and they can do things like not just tape over the recycling bins. That's also embarrassing for the BID. And the weeds that are everywhere, embarrassing for the BID. Yes, Cindy suggests trail ninjas take over. Go for it, clean it up. But so I was part of the BID meeting, just zoomed in, of course, everything's on Zoom. They had Ken Smith from the parking department come and do a kind of basically he was just there to answer questions, but you know, there was all those big parking studies where they counted bikes on bike racks in January a few years back. Anyway, they collected a lot of data before the Benson Theater was open, before that new residential unit was open. And so the parking study basically indicates that they need to do some work with the private lot owners to, there's 3 different types of contracts that the city is offering to work with property owners to basically lease their lots and then provide security and that sort of thing. So they're looking at ways to kind of incentivize employees to park in the lot so that the street parking is available. They're also looking at doing meters in Benson. So I personally think that's a good idea. Again, I think that street parking is theft. Anyway.
Like that Full House lot.
Yeah, yep. There's a
That was
lot
the-
of different
the
lots.
tow lot.
Yeah, yeah. The library is in as far as
Oh, you can park in the library.
Yep. So the library, there's there's a handful of different private lots throughout the area that they're looking at basically making available to the public. So that'll be interesting. So the process would have to go, the BID would have to approve this plan, which would create a special parking overlay district for Benson. It would be the first one in the city. And it would basically allow the revenue from the metering to go back to the BID so that they can take care of those weeds. So, and it's like 6 figures annually. So it'd actually be a significant, it's like more than what their budget is right now. So it would be a big deal. I hope that it happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens. My specific question for Ken Smith was, because he mentioned that he's working with M-Space to do some marketing and communications around the parking plan. And my question was, what are you doing with communications to encourage people to bike and walk and take transit to Benson? And I just typed it in the chat and he was like, Sarah Johnson's asking about multimodal stuff. And we're gonna highlight how there's electric bikes. And I was like, not what I asked, but okay. So I don't know, we'll see. Go ahead and email the Benson BID if you live in the neighborhood and ask them what they think about it and encourage them, I think, to Mark, do you want to talk about what you think? Or I don't have to put you on the spot, but I want to open it up if you'd like to chat about parking in Benson.
I don't know. For one, I could magically create 12 parking spaces by just putting in one bike corral, and then there's 12 spots.
Just
There's
punched me through the. I agree, Mark. I agree. Let's all harass. Okay, actually, sorry, keep going, and then I'm going to tell you a thing. Go ahead.
No, I don't like. I as far as the metering and stuff, I think when I said chasing their tail, like you're basically idolizing. You're continually idolizing the process of
Car dependency.
Car exactly,
Yep.
and not only that, like you're creating, because those meters don't, like, I guess some of them they're going to, I don't know, but there's people that work in Park Omaha, like there's jobs that support this. So like you're increasing, you're probably creating one entire position within the city to handle the increase. You know what I mean? There's increased administrative work and all that, and it's all based around cars parking in Benson. And I think we should still have more people in Benson, but let's figure out how to get more people in Benson with the way, you know what I mean? Like just because you awarded TIF to these idiotic apartment complexes that make my neighborhood look, like a tin factory. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, no, get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, I think the conversation that I like to continue to, or the language, I guess, that I like to try to use and hope that it catches on is we're needing to talk about parking customers, not cars. And so what we need to be accommodating for is folks getting to Benson and other districts. It doesn't have to just stop in Benson, but like we really need to get real about our transportation and mobility plan. And it needs to be more than just accommodating car drivers. We need to actually talk about the people instead of the cars and how are we getting people accommodated. So we'll see. What I was gonna freak out about real quickly when you said the trigger word bike corral was that after our parklet project, Public Works, I think I brought this up a little bit last week, but Public Works sent me a letter, did not find mode shift, but did tell us how we did it wrong and how we need to get permits with $1 million insurance. But then one of our board members had a meeting with Ken Smith of parking, who's actually like a pretty, I'll say I don't mind Ken Smith. I think he has some good ideas and I think he has a little bit more progressive feel to him.
I went to high school.
You did? Wow, that's interesting. Do you think I mean, you obviously know him better than I do then. Do you think he's okay? I don't know if you've worked with him since.
Yeah,
but...
no, I haven't seen him in years. Nice guy.
Cool. Yeah, I've always had pretty good interactions with him. Anyway, he says he's willing to work with Mode Shift to identify some different projects that we could kind of collab on. And of course, I am going to beg the board to approve one of the 5 projects being how do we undo the ban on bike corrals? Because right now, as probably everyone on this call knows, when they ripped out the bike corral, not only did they just say, oh, we don't need it right here, they wrote a policy forbidding the use of bike corrals anywhere in the city. And that's vindictive bullshit. And I can't wait to watch that get overturned. So that is definitely something that's on my short list. But we will be actually using our Mode Shift membership meeting, which is the 27th of this month, the last Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock, to be doing some brainstorming and just kind of a debrief on the whole Parklet project. So if anyone's interested, 7 o'clock, Zoom, Mode Shift, Parklet chat. So,
And also, is it, I know we're wrapping up. It is the coffee chat this Saturday.
yeah, yep. Saturday at 10 o'clock. You can either meet us at Blue Line. I'll probably be there at about 9:30, fill in my mug, and then we'll pedal at 9:45 from the Blue Line in Dundee down to Elmwood Park for a coffee chat / bike team meeting. If anybody wants to hang out, ride bikes, drink coffee in the park, should be a nice morning. That's on the 16th. Man, this month is flying. Is it seriously already the middle of the month? Yes, it is. Anyway, okay, 2 last things and then we're going to go, and they're not happy news. The Kellogg strike, I guess, maybe happy or not, the workers are standing strong. The strike continues. John Deere, those laborers on strike. I think the film industry is looking at a strike. There's like a really interesting labor movement happening right now, and I think it's past time.
Has anyone heard from Begley? I know he's a big union guy. Has anyone heard from Begley on the strike? I have not. Interesting.
Also, there was just a sad article that shows that in Nebraska, Black folks are jailed at 9 times the amount of their white counterparts. Something to think about. And Ricketts wants to build a new giant prison. So it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping.
Oh, I saw Scott Frakes is doing a Zoom meeting. I feel like Manny he's not on the call today, but he's the director of prisons, right? Or corrections.
Yeah.
There's going to be some kind of town hall, I think they're marketing it as.
Yeah, how are they going to, I don't know. Hopefully they'll listen. As per usual, we don't know what matters, but thank you all for joining us this evening. Does anybody have anything, updates or anything else they want to share before we hit stop and then let the real shit talking begin? I'm just kidding. Anything? No one? Bueller? All right, I'm going to hit stop recording. Thank you for being here.